My name is Hadi Rangin. I'm a member of IT accessibility team at the University of Washington. And my primary responsibility is to make sure the software that we develop here or we purchase are accessible and delivered to the campus community.
How would you define universal design?
By definition, the universal designs mean the design of products and environment to be usable by all people to the extent possible without any adaptation or special adaptation or specialized changes. In other words, it means that we can produce or design a product that it can be usable by everyone easily, effectively, and efficiently. We know that it is not always possible to create a product or something that everybody can use in the same effective manner. We might need some time accommodation or specialized devices, but that is a kind of approach. The universal design approach is merged from the idea of inclusive design or barrier-free design. That is exactly what we try to work to use that when we are working with all those companies from them we are purchasing our products.
How would you explain universal design to someone?
Working in accessibility area, working with the web designer, with developer, that is, I have something that I have been doing for many years, almost 2 decades. And then, of course, it is my passion. And then I train hundreds of designers and developers, including some of your colleagues at the University of Illinois. This is definitely an important factor in accessibility. As from the perspective of a blind person, when we get to an element on the website, we need to know that the nature of the element. We need to know that the type of the element. If, for example, it is a button, so the button has semantical meaning attached to it. So button means, hey, when you press this one, some action will trigger. Versus when you go on a link, you are telling user, hey, you are being forwarded or redirected to a different page. If you have, for example, a menu, so the instruction that comes with it is that, yeah, the menu, you open it with enter, and you use arrow keys to travel through the items in the menu. And then once you narrow down your selection, you press enter to trigger that function. So I can talk about all those elements, but that is essential key in the accessibility of the website and web application that we need to pay attention when we are developing that. I usually compare that with when you are driving along the street. When you go to a stop sign, when you approach a stop sign, the instruction is that you stop, period. For us, when we are navigating on a page, the type of the element is the same as the sign for you on the street. So you tell us the instruction, what to do and what to expect.
What is your goal when working with a company on universal design?
We try to make sure that the products are accessible at the time we are purchasing. But unfortunately, they don't produce accessible product by default. There are reasons for that because those designers, developers, they have not learned about the universal design or accessibility as they were learning the skills. We work with them, help them to understand accessibility. We help them to address some of those accessibility issues that they have, make the software a little easier to use for everyone. But our underlying goal, or the main goal, is that to use the knowledge that we gain through these collaborations with the company into their design and development process. So what we learn from these bug fixes or all those issues that they have with the software. We try to help them to think about accessibility when they are designing them, and then when they are implementing, and then as well as when they are testing it. So practically in all phase of the development process, from design, implementation, and quality assurance, we make sure that they check for accessibility. And that is the practical usage of universal design, or importing or practically doing a reverse engineering for the universal design. So in other words, their product is not accessible. It has not been designed with accessibility in mind. So we work with them, we teach them, we help them to understand the problems, the barriers, and issues that they have with their design and implementation. And then we transfer the knowledge back to the drawing board. So next time when they are redesigning the application, they use those lessons learned, practically the universal design.
What is the biggest issue facing universal design?
I think the problem is not the universal design itself. Rather, the problem is the incorporating universal design in the existing system. Consider a software like a company like Microsoft. They have Office product, for example. They have an existing product. It is not possible to tell them, hey, stop your production and let us go and start from scratch, because their products are being used by millions of people, and economically it is not feasible to them, say, hey, we are going to change everything from scratch. So it doesn't work. So in other words, the problem that we are facing is not the universal design itself. There is that to incorporate that in their well-established development culture. That is usually the difficulty, because they have already an existing system, and then now plug in a universal design at the beginning. It is not an easy job.
Can you give an example of universal design helping everyone?
The silent timeout, the timeout problem. Consider uh, when you are around the tax return time, and that is usually where we go through all those statements that we have from the past year, and then see that there are those bank statements, and you don't have all those bank statements. You go through that, you go online, you log into your account. It takes you maybe 15 minutes to narrow down the statements to locate the statements that you wanted, and you get it, and you said that it is you are transferring some data from that statement to another window, and then you say that, what, there are too many windows, let me close some of them, and then you start closing these windows or browser tabs, and then accidentally you click on the statement that really you don't want to close. You push the button on your mouse, and you know that as soon as you release it, then the window will be gone. So consider, if the application asked you, do you really want to close this secure page, you would have another chance to get back where you left off. But if the application doesn't ask you for verification or confirmation, then that application will be gone. You, as a sighted person, as a mouse user, probably could get back to that page maybe in 5 minutes. But for a screen reader user, it would take a significantly longer time to get to that place. So a feature that we call that as an accessibility feature, as you can see, that it can be useful to you too. Accessibility is very much in line with universal design principle, and then it improves the overall usability for all users, including those with disabilities.